Hello, and welcome to the BigTime Strength Podcast. I'm your host for this week, Amanda Berg. Let's take a little bit of time to give some love to our sponsors. You know we have TeamBuildr. Thank you, TeamBuildr, for sponsoring today's episode. TeamBuildr is the leading software for high schools and colleges, and they provide coaches the ability to write programs online, generate over 13 reports, and even train athletes remotely for side income. We've had a lot of great stuff come out of TeamBuildr. If you have not yet, check out their podcast. Hewitt always has some amazing tidbits, and it's just getting more and more fun to listen to each week. So right now, if you sign up with the code BigTime, you'll receive a free APRE programming template, which works automatically within TeamBuildr. No more spreadsheets, no more workout cards to track training maxes that change day by day. Automate your program without outsourcing your programming with TeamBuildr. Next up, we have PowerLift. PowerLift is the leading manufacturer and distributor of heavy-duty strength training equipment for collegiate and high school athletic performance centers around the world. PowerLift brings over 20 years of experience to the strength and conditioning world, with all products manufactured in their state-of-the-art facility in Jefferson, Iowa. PowerLift is proud to support all coaches making it big time where they are at. For more information, make sure to reach out to Mike Richardson, and he'll make sure to take care of you. We're bringing you something a little bit different this week. It is our first show of the new year, so if you're listening to it right when it comes out, this is our first show of 2021. And 2020 was an amazing year for the BigTime Strength Podcast. And during my week, I had a coach reach out to me that I work with, and he is absolutely awesome. He is our tech guy, and he is one of those that is always helping support you to get better. And he gave some great, honest feedback, and it was like, what can we do to make this even better? So he had some great suggestions, and that's what we're doing with this week. So we're working on a little bit with audio. We're working with using some new equipment, and I wanted to play around with it. So I intended to do a solo show, and as more and more I was thinking of it, we are getting back into school, and at the BigTime Strength Podcast, we make it proud that we are coaches actively working right now. And the first class that I had was advanced strength and conditioning, and the more and more I was thinking about it, I want to hear from our students. So this week we took a pause from interviewing our great coaches, and we interviewed some students. We just completed the recording, and they did an amazing job just giving an honest story to what this last year has been like for their training. So in our school district, we have had a lot of success. We have started training. We've had to stop training. We've gotten to start seasons. We've had to stop seasons. We've had seasons canceled and then started again. So there's been some big stories, and as coaches, I hope you can find something from each of these athletes and relate it to your athletes and what they've been going through. So we'll continue to bring you great interviews from great coaches, but taking a pause this week to hear from the ones that we coach. So I hope you enjoy it. All right. I'm excited. We have an amazing crew with us today. So you are going to get to hear some great stories from some students they're actually all in my advanced strength and conditioning class, and they have been training for a lot of years. They're all at a very advanced level, and my goal with this is that you're able to hear a few of these stories, and you can hopefully relate to your students and what they're going through right now related to strength and conditioning. So I'm excited. I'm going to introduce them to you one by one and let them give a little bit of talk about their stories. So and we'll ask some great questions related to strength and conditioning. First one here, we have Colin. Colin is a senior. He's a 3-sport athlete. So over the past year, he excels in track, missed his track season, trained through the summer, trained for all of his sports through the summer. We had our football season initially was canceled. And so thinking he wasn't going to have a football season in the fall, that was overturned. Our athletes immediately went into their football season, and he's been training through all of it. So, Colin, can you just take a few minutes, strength and conditioning wise, what have been some big things with this year?
First of all, it's just been hard to stay motivated. I think being away from school and distance learning, it really creates a different mindset in you where being motivated and staying on track can be a lot harder than when you're in school. But I'm trying to get to the gym as much as you can. But then just the motivation part, I think I've fallen behind where I'd like to be, definitely, and just maintaining a consistent workout basis has been hard and challenging, just because it's dependent on yourself and you're not completely with other people and at the school with your strength coach. So motivation has been hard and staying consistent.
Okay. Have you felt like you were able to get for us, a consistent strength program would probably be 12 weeks at a time as a three sport athlete over the course of the last year? Have you ever got to get into 12 weeks where you started at one point and you ended at one point?
I don't really think so. I think the closest I came was over the summer. That was like the longest period where I was able to have a consistent workout where I'm in there 2-3 times a week getting work done.
Okay. And I think something I've seen from you, just watching you strength and conditioning wise, is you've done a really good job of, all right, you didn't get to train, but when you get in there, you picked up where you left off, and it wasn't, you didn't just necessarily quit. So what was your mindset when you've been off for a little bit and you're starting, not necessarily starting over, but getting in there for the first time, let's say, once a week compared to the traditional 3 times a week you've been able to?
I think I'm just wanting to not lose where you're at, really. Like in the sport, like you want to get back to where you think you can be. And just the starting over, technically, like where you're back to doing lighter reps and just going through the motions again, is definitely hard because you want to improve, but you just don't have as much opportunity to get in there. But yeah, just I think the mindset of wanting to stay good and get better is what kept me motivated.
Yeah, that's a great point. As far as a strength coach too, that's kind of been the hard part, is I really haven't felt like I've gotten to get deep with athletes where we get to get them to the strongest that they can be, because we're continuously, like you say, starting over and just getting them to move well again and making sure that we're not going to injure somebody by putting all that weight on them or getting them training at 100%. So excellent stuff. So I'm excited for you. I'm hoping that from here on out you get a consistent year, and once we get through the basketball season and that track season, you are at your peak. So I think it's going to happen. Excellent. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next one I want to talk to, we have Carly here. Carly is a senior. She excels at definitely running. She's a cross-country athlete. She's a track athlete who had her season taken last spring, was not able to compete. And one thing I've really seen from Carly is she's really stepped up in strength and conditioning, but also being there for her teammates and lead her teammates through this. So Carly, what's been your mindset just through this past year, leading as a leader of track, leader of cross country, and now moving into gymnastics?
I just know that we're all kind of going through these changes together, and so we can all relate in that way. And so we can all go to each other if we need help with anything. And even though it is harder now to stay positive and find the bright side in what we're doing, but just trying to find it and figuring out the best way to adapt to the changes.
Have you faced any negativity of teammates that you've kind of had to work through, or where teammates were giving up or feeling like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah, I definitely have. I just like if they're feeling down or if they're not like happy with where they're at, I always just try like reminding them that they are great at what they're doing. They're giving it their best. And as long as they're doing that, then they should be happy with how they are.
Okay. And your own training, you came and in Minnesota here, we were able to train in the summer. We didn't really know if we were going to be able to, but our numbers were small. And you were one who came in consistently each day, not really knowing if you were going to have a fall season. Can you talk a little bit about what kept you going training through the summer?
Yeah, I definitely didn't have as much motivation as I was like hoping, but I just knew that there was a high chance that I was going to be able to like participate in cross country in the fall. And so I knew that if I tried just to keep pushing, because there's always a chance of being able to go back.
Excellent. And you're a senior, so you kind of knew that if it was your chance, that was probably your last chance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine for, maybe a sophomore or junior, that would have been hard to keep going. But when it kind of gets to the end, it's like, oh, this is my chance. So excellent. Training wise, what have been some challenges? Do you feel like you're able to get strong?
Yeah, so now for gymnastics season, we just started this past Monday, and before the season started, our coaches like sent workouts that we could do, and so I always tried to do those, even though like it was definitely harder to get them done just because we didn't know like if our season was actually going to start. But being able to do those and then feeling like myself get stronger, that's always nice. And then now that the season has actually started, there's some different changes that we have to deal with and go through together that have been kind of difficult, but we're working through it.
All right. So it was worth it to train through the year. Love it. Thank you. All right. Next we have Jackson. Jackson is a junior. He is a swimmer, and he's one who's been training. I'd say he is probably so very intrinsically motivated, meaning he trains for whether he is by himself or whether there is a whole group of people in the room. So I've really seen that he's kind of taken ownership of his own strength and conditioning through this last year. And athletically wise, he's a swimmer. And Jackson, you can turn your mic on. Can you tell us how much the state tournament last year? How close?
I guess by 600th of a second.
600th of a second to get to the state tournament in swimming. So he's definitely had a mission this year, and he's just starting up his swimming season. So can you talk, Jackson, a little bit, obviously related to swimming, but what's kept you motivated this year to train?
Well, a lot of it is missing state by 600th of a second. It's pretty good motivation to get it this year if we even have a state tournament, which is a big thing. And then I know my friend Colin, which you'll meet later, guys, is he helps a lot too, and just I got a good group of people around me that help, and then I'm also very motivated personally.
Okay, so something I think that was unique about you that you were open with and we were able to talk about is when we got shut down, we have the app TeamBuildr, so we have workouts available to kids. And historically, as my career as a strength coach back in the day, if somebody was like, I got to go work out at a health club and I'm going to train here, train with this person, I'd be like, no, I want you here. But we didn't have that option. And so as a strength coach, I've really opened it's really opened my mind that we got to do what we have to do. And sometimes technologies definitely help. But can you talk about training remotely and, maybe the things that were hard, things that you were able to do easily?
Yeah. So a lot TeamBuildr helped out a lot, but it was kind of hard for myself to do it because I need the weights to be there to be more mentally present. Whereas if I go out and do body weight stuff, I feel more like I can skip out on stuff, even though I do my best not to. So the weights really help a lot. But then TeamBuildr makes it easy because they give you the workouts, you put them in there, and then I can just run through them on my own time whenever I have that opportunity.
Yeah, the flexibility at time, that's kind of been nice. And I'm hoping to find a way that we as strength coaches can do that after this. That has been something nice, is we've had to be flexible. And if students are working or students have stuff going on, we got to find ways to get their training in that's not necessarily in that time slot right after school. So that's been good. Well, your training partner and partner in crime sometimes, we have another Colin with us who is a junior swimmer, has been training. I'd say he is somebody who seeks out best practices on his own, and it's been fun to watch him do that. So can you talk a little bit, Colin, about your last year and just learning for yourself about the human body and what's best for you?
Yeah, I have felt like I've gotten stronger. I've been doing the TeamBuildr workouts with my friend, and it's
Have you been able to learn a little bit more about what you should be doing?
Yeah, some of my training has been through trial and error.
Yep.
Like stuff I don't feel like it does anything, so I don't do it again. And other stuff, like I'll be really sore after doing something, and I'll be like, well, I got to do that more then.
Okay. All right. And what have you felt has been the best exercise to keep you going?
At my house, we have like a workout machine, and it has a variety of things. I like doing, it has a bunch of arm stuff. I like doing that. Then also like push-ups, sit-ups, that kind of stuff, body weight that you can just do whenever.
All right. A good old universal machine. Is that what it is? Like those with everything on it?
Not quite everything, but it has a lot.
Okay. Yeah. I think the pandemic has brought back the need for a universal machine for some. It's been fun to see people post pictures of those old 70s machines that they still got at their house. So that's been fun. And how about supporting another teammate? Like what has kept you and Jackson training together, and how do you hold each other accountable?
Yeah, a lot of times one of us would just forget, but the other would be like, well, we got to do this. We have a swim season coming up. Who knows if we'll even have state or sections, but on the off chance that we do, we got to be ready for it.
All right. So. Love it. Good. Thank you, Colin. All right. Now I'm going to introduce to you Eli. Eli is a junior, and I brought Eli on because he's been one that I've had for, he's been training with us, honestly, since he is a little kid. Like, he's been in the strength and conditioning program. We have some video from him when he's like 8 years old, power cleaning. So it's super fun. But Eli has spent this last year going through the recruiting process. So he's got big goals related to football and moving on in his football career after school. So Eli, I want you to talk today just what has been hard, what have you kind of had to do to work in as far as recruitment right now over the past year?
I would say the hardest part for the recruiting process, for me at least, is like building a relationship with like the coaches over the phone, because each like school or coach that is interested in me, like they'll reach out, but then they always say how they can't come meet me, or like I can't go visit the school related to the stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I think like building a relationship over the phone sometimes can be tough with a coach when you can't really go see them or see what their whole program is like.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it. I was thinking about like them being able to see you, but yeah, that's a big part for you being able to definitely see what you want. Good. Talk about your training over the last year. Have you been able to get a consistent program? What have been some of the struggles? What have been some things that are good?
There's a few trainers that I have been consistently going to for a while, but then after like a certain amount of time, usually, or it's been happening, they get either like cut off or shut down for a little bit, or I can't see them or train for a certain amount of time, which gets kind of tough. And then we have to find some way or some place where they can come since their original facility got shut down. So then they can come train me and try to keep a consistent workout program.
Okay. And how has that affected like your school program? Have you been able to kind of do both and work together with like myself as your strength and conditioning coach at school? And are you just doing a whole bunch of different stuff right now? And it's like, I need to go here, here, here. Have you been able to kind of get a consistent program? I don't know. That's a little bit.
I wouldn't say it's like consistent, but it's not like nothing's getting in the way. If anything, like one trainer is not getting in the way of the school, because like my trainer usually works around my schedule, but still has time and makes way to get stuff done. So I wouldn't say it's consistent yet, but it's like working at the moment.
Okay. It's working at the moment. And then, football related. So our story at our school is last year we had a big state run. We were second in state. We had a lot of potential this year. Originally, our football season was shut down. And then after, I don't know, maybe it was a week or 2 weeks, it was overturned. And then we were able to have a football season. So, and then at the end of our football season, we were again in a playoff spot, and the football season ended up getting shut down. So as a player, focusing on your future, what have those transitions been like for you?
It was like crazy how to start, because we got like so far into practice, and then it made us like all think like we didn't have a football season. So we kind of like all got in the mindset of like preparing like not to have one, and then it switched right away. So it's kind of crazy like on how quick I need to flip my mindset around, like on how we're actually playing, and like we got to get going.
Yeah.
And I think this will help in the future, just like to always be ready and like stay ready, because anything can happen, and it helps if you're prepared, not get scrambling around.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Like it'll definitely help you in the future. So good. Thank you, Eli. Next, I want to introduce to you Jude. And Jude is a wrestler, and he's had a lot of success in wrestling coming through like the youth program, and I would say from the outside looking in, dedicated his life to training for this sport and been successful, been to state. Jude, how many times have you been to state? You're a junior now.
Only twice.
Only twice. Yeah. He's been very successful at state as well. And so, Jude, I wanted you to talk a little bit about, man, you've been on fire, I guess is a good way to say it, is you kind of, I'd say, accepted that you need to take care of this yourself. And what I've seen is you just get stronger and stronger as the year went on. So can you talk a little bit about the mindset of your training over the last year?
Well, basically since the last state tournament, once I lost, it wasn't like you can't just like sit around and just feel bad for yourself. So I took a day or two to think about what I should do for the next season. And then since then, I've just been doing everything I can to be the best. So.
And what has that entailed? Like, what has that entailed in the weight room?
In the weight room, I always want to be the strongest person in the weight room. So if I see someone doing more than me, then I'll focus on what I should do to do more than them.
Okay. And have you been able to get a consistent training program at all?
Yeah, well, we have like a wrestling mat and a gym at my house, so
Yeah.
whether gyms are closed or whatever, I've always been able to work out multiple times a day as hard as I can. So I always find a way.
Okay, so you've taken it upon yourself and you've gotten the equipment, and your mode of training has been a lot in your own house and in your own place.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then what have you learned about just the human body and training and getting stronger through the year? And what have you sought out yourself?
I guess there's really I think a lot of people see that there's like limits or like certain points where you should just be like proud of yourself or whatever. But I think that honestly, you can push your body to past whatever limits have been set before. So like being like at a lighter weight, lifting a lot more than you should be able to. I think you can even go beyond that instead of just sitting back and saying, well, you're lifting a lot for who you are, so that's good. Or you're able to run for a long time or have great conditioning or wrestle good for who you are. But I think you can always go past what the past limitations have been.
Okay, and that's a good way to look at it because, and it, in our school, you have actually just recently broke all of our school records related to how much weight can be lifted, right? So for our, each school has their different one. For us, we have power clean, bench press, and back squat. And Jude just, definitely shattered our records and is actually at our top of our leaderboard right now. And I think that's definitely come from hard work, where I see what you're saying. I see a lot of people being like, okay, this is good enough, right? I'm a small guy. I should only be able to lift about this much, and that's good. And I agree with you. Yeah, you definitely, what can I do more? Where a lot of times people have that mindset. Yep, this is good enough. I might not even compete. So I definitely seen that in you. And I want to talk a little bit about what it takes right now. You've been traveling this fall as far as finding a ways to compete. There's been no competitions related to wrestling in our state. What does that take, and what toll has it taken, maybe family wise? How much have you been traveling? What have you had to do to, like you said, be the best right now?
Well, yeah, there has been a lot of traveling, but it hasn't been too far. Only one's been to North Carolina, and then most of them are around Wisconsin or Iowa. So, but it takes like a lot of the free time off of my days, and then there's like a lot of other family problems that go along with it. But I just stay focused on preparing for where I'm going and then doing what I can to do the best to where I'm going. That's all I focus on.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. I want to introduce you to one of our last panelists. Her name is Lydia, and she is a hockey player, and she's been one that I've really seen, I'd say maybe a year ago was the first time you took my class. And I remember you saying, I don't even know anything about strength and conditioning, Berg. And now you are a rock star. You've spent this year training for hockey and finding a way to compete in hockey. So can you talk a little bit about what your year has looked like?
All right. So yeah, definitely this past year has been weird. It's been a lot harder to find that motivation, as Colin said, because you basically just have to take accountability by yourself. You're not in the weight room with your friends as much. You're just working out at home, just grinding it out. Basically focusing on a season that you don't know if you're going to have or not. But we are finally back in session starting last Monday, and it's going pretty well so far.
All right. So were you one that was doing body weight workouts too this year?
Yeah, I was at home.
How was that for you?
It was not that great, but we had a competition running throughout the whole hockey team. We were divided up into teams of like 7. And at the end of the summer, the team that had the most points would win a free sweatshirt. So,
Okay, so you were able to do a competition remotely for workouts.
Yeah, that incentive definitely helped. We ended up coming in second though, so it's sad.
Second is sad. All right. So that kept you going. What have you had to do? Have you been able to do anything outside of school, like any programs or anything? Has anything been going related to hockey?
Well, not really. Over the summer, we have a power skating coach that we got to see. We didn't see her as much last summer as we did the previous ones, but she's helped us with our form a lot. And it's definitely helped us make a lot of changes that have helped us improve. And at first, when we started it, we're like, oh, we already know how to skate. Like, why are they trying to teach us how to skate again? We found out that it hurts a lot, but it really pays off, and it showed up in our seasons in the past years. And you can definitely tell the girls that have been doing it continuously the past 3 years, it made a lot of changes for us, and we are definitely way more stronger skating wise, and we use our energy better on the ice. We don't get as tired as quickly.
Okay. How about motivation? In all honesty, like, did you ever think, why should I do this today? I probably won't even have a season anyways. You know, if you think about 2 months ago.
Yeah, there were definitely days when like new things would come out every day, and they're like, there's not going to be winter sports. There might be winter sports. And it was a tough battle getting up and making yourself go on runs or doing the workouts that the coaches were sending out. And it definitely helped just like talking to some of my teammates, like, hey, what have you done in the past week? Like, have you guys been sticking to the workouts? Or like, hey, let's meet up and go to the path and just get a rollerblade in quick or something, just to stay motivated, because there were times when it just seemed like there wasn't even going to be a season. So might as well just go hang out with my friends instead. Or like, it was just hard to focus on wanting to be good at hockey again, because it just seemed like there was nothing left to be hopeful for at times, definitely.
All right. Yeah, I can see that. I'm guessing there's a lot of student athletes who have had those feelings over the last year, like, why? But I'm proud of you for going with it and fighting through it. And then in your world, in our world, as far as our winter sports season, we are now training in Mass, where we did not have to do that in the fall. And so our basketball team, our hockey team, they are running up and down the court and skating up and down the rink in their Mass. So obviously you're still here, Lydia, right? You're still here. So what's kind of been your mindset to, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, it's for sure the first day of practice was the worst. It was a huge mental battle with yourself to just push yourself through it. Every minute you just felt like you were going to pass out on the ice. It was horrible. We had people throwing up, people laying on the ice. It was not going the first day. Our coaches, they kind of gathered us up about 10 minutes into practice, and they yelled at us this is something that it's going to be like this. You just have to get over it, and it's going to suck and it's going to hurt. You're not used to it. It's not natural, and it's something that I wish could be changed, but it's not necessarily getting better. It's still a mind boggler to just have that thing there. Sometimes it blocks the view of the puck when you're trying to skate. And
Yeah.
It's just frustrating, because it's like a added thing that makes it difficult to breathe. And so while you're pushing yourself, sometimes you're not thinking about, oh, I need to go get the puck. You're thinking about, oh, this mask is blocking my view. I need to fix it first. Like, it's just frustrating.
All right. Yeah.
I think there's a way that we could play safely, like having them just even like with us and putting them on in between while they resurface, and anytime that we're at the rink, I feel like that's fine. But just when we're out on the ice physically working hard, I don't think that we should have them on, because it's not going very well at all. It's a huge struggle.
Okay. Yeah. And we're one week in. So right? 1 week for you guys in?
Yep.
Right now, yeah. And yeah, we'll have to see that route, what happens. So I know a lot of other states have been training that for quite a while now. So excellent. Well, the big thing in our podcast is we have the philosophy of making it big time where you're at, whether you have a lot of resources, whether for strength coaches you have a lot of money, you have a lot of donors. I want to hear a quick take from each of you through all this, through the ups, the downs of it. What is still going to make this where your sport, your activity is making it big time where you're at? So for us, that's our school district. And I'll go around and maybe each of you take, a little bit of time and a sentence or two for it. So let's start with our first one, Colin. Colin A.
I think just accepting where we're at and realizing everything's not in your control, really, and making the most out of it. Like, for instance, wearing the masks, I think just kind of accepting that for now and just trying to push through it and get better is all you can really do. So I think that's, and just trying to motivate other people to realize that and just say, hey, this is where we're at. We just got to push through it and try to get better as a team.
Love it. Good. All right, Carly.
Just knowing that we're all going through it together and we all can like lean on each other, and just being able to find the bright side in this, like as hard as it is, just helping everybody stay focused and positive, I guess.
Excellent. And I know you're going to find a way to make your season memorable for your team. So excellent. Jackson.
All right. Well, with swimming, it's kind of hard because half our team's over in another town, and so we don't even get to see half our team, which is it's hard for us as captains to lead a team that we can't even know half of. But I think we're just going to try and have the best season we can, hang out, have a great time as a team, even if it means we don't win meets, we don't do amazing time-wise, just we'll win it in spirit. We'll be there for each other, have a great time, just stuff like that.
Love it. Colin, how about you? How are you going to make this big for your team?
I think with everybody just being there for each other and supporting each other, then we can all get through this together. And even if it doesn't necessarily mean going to state, winning state, or anything like that, if it just simply means being able to play together, or in our case, swim together, and just have a good time as friends and as teammates.
Love it. Yes, that's what you're going to remember. So whatever the outcome is, you're going to remember that part of it. Eli, what's going to make the rest of this year big time for you?
I just got to realize and help my team realize that, like, everything that's going on is, like, none of our control. Like, we can't control anything that's happening, but we still get a chance to play. So we might as well make, like, the best out of it and keep trying to get better.
All right. And Lydia, roll us out here. What's going to make this hockey season big time for you?
Yeah, I'm just going to definitely keep showing up every day for everyone else, giving it my all. And I'm definitely one of the motivators on the team. So I'm going to keep encouraging everyone to get through it together. And we're going to do what we can to hopefully have a winning season this year.
What will a successful season look like to you beyond winning?
It's my senior year, so I just want to go out with no regrets and just make some of the best memories with my best friends. I've been playing with these girls for like the past 8-9 years, so I just want to make it memorable and have a good time if I can, even though we have these challenges where we can't see each other as often. We get cut short at the rink, like we don't get the dry land or the team bonding time that we've had in years past. We're responsible to do it on our own at home. So I'm just hoping that we can get over the mask situation soon and make this season very memorable.
Wonderful. Well, this has been awesome. I'm so glad that I did this. I mean, in truth, I was nervous about it, and I just asked them. I mean, I think most of them didn't even know that, we really had the Big Time Strength podcast. And I said, I have a podcast and I'd like you to be on it. Will you be on it? And they rose to the challenge. You guys did great. I hope your honest answers are helpful for our strength coaches out there who are listening. And that my challenge to you, strength coaches, is that you ask your athletes a little bit about what has it been, right? We're coming out on the other side of this, and what can I do for you as your strength coach to make this the best experience possible? So I'm grateful for all of you today. You can turn your mics on and say one more goodbye to our listeners. So thank you. I appreciate all of you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yep, but
Thank you, Berg.
How was that? Oh, that got me fired up. Yes, exciting to hear their point of view. You know, I'm a strength and conditioning coach, but I am a teacher first, and this year has just, I mean, obviously it's been so different, but it's really been a goal of mine is to find different ways to support our students and athletes. And there have been days with distance learning where I've just gotten on the phone and just called athletes and just called my students and asked them how they're doing, asked them what's been good, what are you liking, what's been hard. And the relationships that have been built from that have been wonderful. So yes, it has definitely been a challenging year, but as far as a teacher and coaching, there's been a lot of things that I'll probably keep. And one of them is spending time with students on the computer and bringing coaches in on the computer. That's been I've had so many coaches, and I wanted to take a little bit of time to give them a shout out because I've asked a lot of coaches to come and talk to my students on the computer, and they've been more than willing. So I'm going to throw down some names here because they've been great to me. We've had Coach Eric Guff come in, Coach Chris Romano and Coach Kenny Brown came in and talked to my students about CrossFit. It was awesome. Coach Gary Schofield talked to my students about foam rollers and the use of foam rollers for athletes. Coach Adam Fite came in and had a great presentation on protein supplements. Coach Jeremy Boone came in, talked about leadership with my students, just fired them up. Coach and registered dietitian Wendy Earlbeck came in and talked to my students, or came on, I should say, talked to my students about creatine. And it's been just a great way of finding ways to educate students. So I've been so grateful. There's been so many teachers and coaches who have checked in and just, how are you doing? What are you doing? What things are working? What things are not working? So it's been a hard year, but 2020 has really been a changing year as well. And as long as we're giving shout outs, I got to give one more shout out to our tech person and my co-teacher, Justin Larson. He's with me here right now, but just for his insight and being willing to say, how can we make this better and how can we make this great? So I would love to hear if anybody has any suggestions, and it's been fun playing around a little bit with the audio and using our students today to do that. So been wonderful. And last, we need to say a huge thank you to Gage and Preston for taking me on this year. They've made my 2020 great as far as giving a voice to female coaches and just taking a chance on me. I'm so appreciative to them. They have a great thing going here with the podcast, and I reached out and said I'd like to do something different this week, and they're all for it. So just that supportive nature has been wonderful. And to you, listeners, thank you so much for the interactions and the back and forth on Facebook, social media. You've made it just a joy to be on this podcast. So 2020 has been good, but I'm very excited for what 2020 is going to bring. And give us your voice. If you have any suggestions, you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, or just a good old classic email will work wonderful. Have a great week, and until next time.